If you're looking for a clean, sober, professional, academic,
well-researched, historically accurate, generally accurate, serious podcast
on Southern folklore, ghosts, bizarre events, and unique people,
this podcast is not for you.
However, if you've decided you can live with that,
then join us for The Strange South.
The Strange South.
Okay. I'm opening my beer.
I've opened my beer. I don't usually drink Fat Tire. I forgot it. Like, the flavor's different. Hold on.
Do you not like it?
Excuse me. It's like yeasty, which makes sense because it's beer. I think when it all comes down, I'm not a great beer fan. Like, the only beer that I really like is like Japanese beer, like Kirin and Tsingtao and those. Like, I like that. Like, somebody sits those in front of me and I'm like, yes.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to get some of those.
Good luck. I can't find them anywhere.
My favorite beer is Truck Stop Honey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a huge beer fan, but I can drink this by, Back 40 Beer Company.
Local.
But I like the beer buzz, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
because it's not debilitating?
Because it's not debilitating. And I usually don't feel like shit because I don't drink a lot of beer. Like, I'm not going to sit there and guzzle beer.
Yeah, like the gas generally stops you before.
Right.
Well, I don't know. I feel like shit like after having drunk a lot of it, but not like I've gotten drunk on beer before.
Oh yeah.
But your stomach just starts to bother you and you just get like kind of groggy more than anything else.
Yeah, well, I don't drink like I don't want to drink a lot of it, and I think that's probably like I'll drink till I'm buzzed and then I'm like, oh, well, that's all the beer for me.
Oh, see, I just keep going, but only in certain circumstances. Like I don't even like football, but football and tailgating, like I'll just drink beer and drink beer and drink beer, and sometimes at a fire if there's a fire.
Sometimes fire is
involved. I wanted fire yesterday. We're recording on the 6th, I guess, of November. So.
Yeah.
And yesterday was Guy Fawkes, and I was like, I'm going to light a fire and have people over. And I couldn't light a fire because it was like the one day that it rained in the entire last 2 weeks, I think.
Mm-hmm. And then it was really windy right afterwards.
Now it's like 76 degrees outside.
It was 70 degrees outside
Jesus.
last night. Yeah. Kind of squashed the fall fire.
Yeah. We're just shooting the shit right now. We don't have our Courtney.
We do not.
And so that's why we're drinking beer. And she'll laugh at this, I'm sure.
Whatever is in the fridge. We did do the second installment of our Jell-O mold. I don't even like.
Jell-O mold of doom.
Yes.
Jell-O mold of mystery.
It's strange Jell-O molds. We obviously haven't figured out like a brand name to call it, and I've called it like 15 different things. And if you look at it on social media, I've called it something different. Like my marketing is just like.
That's okay. That's not what we're paid for. Actually, we're not paid for anything, so fuck it all. We do what we can.
That's right. But yes, so last night's Jell-O mold was
different.
What was like the official name? What was it?
It was lime avocado salad, and it was from the Southern Living Salads cookbook, which has a ton of congealed salads in it.
Yes.
It's such an awful great word. This is the other reason I don't drink beer.
Right.
So it was, as you'll see from my making of video, which I'll post maybe by the time you hear this. God, you know what your voice does when you really need to burp, but you just won't let it. And it's like,
it gets all croaky.
I know, that's kind of what I was trying to do. So it was like 2 avocados, and then you squish them up, and then you take, it said a package of cream cheese, but then I realized I don't actually know what that meant in 1964, whenever this was published, like what the sizes were, because Ellen, our friend Ellen, had sent almost identical recipe from another source, and so I had looked at both of them to try and decide which one, and that one had said, one of them had said 2 packages of cream cheese, and one of them had said like 6 ounces. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to buy one and cut it in half and toss the cream cheese in. So that's what I did. And I squished it all up, And then I added a jar of pimentos, which our friends Reiner, well, actually it was Reiner, I think last night, told us that those are peppers. I didn't even know that's what pimentos were.
Makes sense, but
Courtney's going to laugh because she's told me before what pimentos were, but see, my brain
didn't retain.
And so you pour in a jar of pimentos and a quarter cup, I think, or a quarter of a chopped up green pepper and some grated onion. And then you stir it all up and you pour in, like you make one package of lime jello with just like one cup of boiling water. So that it's like super concentrated, and then you pour it in and you set it that way. Right. And it looked like Christmas. It looked like
it was all
creamy greenness with little red flecks, and I was like, that wouldn't suck. You could kind of see the little lumps of unmixed cream cheese in there. There's a bit of a tell, but I didn't taste the avocado. Since we were all together for Guy Fawkes, we had other people with us there, and almost everybody taste tested this because everybody was so curious. Yes, except for you, Randy. And none of us could really taste the avocado. I guess that's, they always say that about avocado, that the flavor just kind of, I've made brownies out of it before. You've had those brownies, I think.
Yeah, and avocado really does not have a flavor. It's more of like a butter texture in vegetable format. Or is it a fruit?
I think it's actually a fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one, it was different. Patrice sort of hated it.
Yeah, not a big fan.
To me, it tasted like crunchy lime dreamsicle jello because I didn't get the onion.
Oh, God, I got the onion. I straight up got the onion. Like big old fat, green, smelly onion and lime jello. And, I tell you what, I don't know moving forward if we have a flavored jello, if that's going to be my nah.
Really? Yeah. Interesting.
Because half of the problem, other than the smelly onion crunch, was the lime jello with the smelly onion crunch. And just,
we should be logging these. We should be logging all of our discoveries as we do this.
Sure.
We should chart our experience with Jell-O.
Yeah.
Patrice thesis is.
That's right.
The thesis is Patrice will not like a flavored Jell-O. Well, because you'll be next, I guess, because Courtney's like, peace out on all of this. Yeah. We're lucky she tried anything yet. She wasn't here to try yesterday's.
Right. Yeah. So I guess I'm the next one. I think maybe a shrimp. The shrimp something.
Is that, are you going straight for the shrimp?
I think
just
a shrimp
hitting
something, just going to.
As hard as you can.
Go to Shrimp Town.
Just shit.
I like the idea of having Bloody Marys.
Yeah.
Along with like the shrimp, whatever it is.
See, here's the thing is so much of the shrimp recipes are basically Bloody Marys with gelatin in them. So you don't want like that kind of shrimp recipe with a Bloody Mary next to it because that's too much Bloody Mary.
Is it? And is there such a thing?
Okay. To be continued.
To be continued.
The only other thing I have to talk about for pre-show. Have you watched The Midnight Club? Have I talked to you about this yet?
No, I knew that. Was that Coco?
It's Abby.
Oh.
It's on Netflix if y'all haven't watched it. But I think it just came out last month and it's really good. It's by the people that did Hill House and Midnight Mass. It's not as creepy yet, but it's got kind of an underlying sense of unease that follows you through all of their stuff.
Like Salem's Lot?
No, not like. Although I do have something else to say about that, but it's definitely worth a watch if you haven't. It's like the storyline is a group of teenagers in the 90s who've all been diagnosed with terminal illness, and so they get spots in this hospice home on the shore, and I think it's in the Northwest. I think we're talking like,
so it's an uplifting film.
Yeah, right. Well, like all of theirs,
God.
I mean, like Midnight Mass, it goes into kind of the brainy side of things like Midnight Mass did, but it's not as heavy as that was yet.
I tell you what, anytime a movie or a book opens up with somebody with like cancer, I'm automatically out. I'm like, nope.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm just
well,
like,
maybe this isn't for you then.
I'm like, no, it's a huge trigger for me.
Is it?
Yeah.
Interesting. I feel like I've seen it so many times that it's just not for me at all. That
Yeah.
I don't have, I mean, I've had cancer in my life. I just haven't had,
Right.
immediate. Actually, no, I have had immediate people die from it. So anyway, I've just been fascinated with the idea that like when you start, and it's based on Christopher Pike novels, like YA novels from, I think from the 90s.
Mhm.
The thing that had really fascinated me about it was this whole concept of when you start, like as a writer, when you start a story with everyone dying, that takes some of, one of the issues with writing stories like these is always like, what's the ending going to be? Is somebody going to die? Who's going to die? And in this one,
They all
it's
gonna
kind of
die.
interesting. Yeah. Well, it's kind of a different dynamic. It's been interesting to watch how that changes, how the story gets told. The other thing I was going to say did have to do with Salem's Lot, and I told you it last night, but I'll save it for the after talk.
Do you want more Strange South every week? We can help. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and you can join our Facebook fan group, Fans of the Strange South Podcast, to keep the chat going with our whole creepy community. Do you have a story idea for us or a story of your own to share? Email us at stories@thestrangesouth.com. Plus, if you join our Patreon, you not only help support the podcast, you get an exclusive bonus episode for every show and a discount on merch. You can find links to all of these things on our website, thestrangesouth.com, along with photos, links, and show notes from every episode, Strange South t-shirts, mugs, and other goodies. See you there.
Okay, here's my story.
All right, but I like your necklace.
Oh, how funny that you mentioned the necklace.
That is really cool.
You could see, look, I also have, I don't know if you can see
Check you
these. I've got
out.
little earrings that have like dragonfly wings on them
I love it.
because it's a buggy. I got a buggy story today. My necklace is a articulated millipede that I bought from Walmart at the 50% off Halloween sale for like $2.50.
What?
So I was like, woot, yeah.
Wow, it's
Bugs
really cool.
on my neck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right up my alley. This story is about bugs. and
I have ESPN.
I know
Just saying.
it's crazy. And some of it we've talked about before, but it's about fireflies.
Oh, cool.
So lightning bugs. Did you
Yes.
call them lightning bugs?
No, it's fireflies.
I always called them fireflies, but I had friends who called them lightning bugs.
They're wrong.
I wonder what the demographic of that is. Where do they call them? Y'all let us know if you call them.
We should do like a survey or something.
Yeah, we'll
online.
do a survey. I don't know. We're not going to do a survey.
Yeah,
I didn't write
forget
that
about
down.
it in 5 minutes.
So, but regardless of what you called them, I'm sure especially if you were in the Southeast at any point in your childhood, lightning bugs were a part of it. And I was trying to remember specific things that we did with lightning bugs. Besides just, we would make the little lightning bug homes to put them in with like the mesh on the outside and the little wood door that would swing shut across the front. You didn't do that? Or just coffee cans with like holes in the lid.
We never caught them.
Oh, we caught them and kept them.
Oh, yeah. We just enjoyed them, I guess.
You just looked at them? You didn't catch them?
Mm-mm.
Oh my God, that was a huge thing for us. Like every summer as soon as summer started, we would spend dusk every night out catching them. And
well, dusk is like when snakes come out too.
oh yeah,
Mm.
and mosquitoes.
And mosquitoes.
But
so,
for some reason I didn't notice that. And
yeah.
mostly in like outside of Richmond when we lived in Newport News, that was like the thing we always did.
Mm.
Or in Illinois at my grandparents. So not just a Southern thing. But I remember in Newport News, my friend Oliver would catch them and he would like squish them and put their guts on his face. And he would make like I know it was super gross and I hated it because it seemed really cruel that he would take them and he would like squeeze them and all of their like bright would come out and he would paint his face like a football player.
Have you seen that thing where you can take Mountain Dew and add like baking soda or something, vinegar or something to it, and then it becomes like a firefly belly?
Is it true?
I saw it on TikTok, so it must be true.
Oh my God.
But
If you saw it on TikTok, I can't believe neither of my kids has asked to do it yet.
we need to try it
Okay.
because it looked really cool.
We're never going to do it.
We're never going to do it.
We're not writing this down. There
It's-
will be no
it's-
survey. There will be no Mountain Dew.
Oh, I just forgot about the survey. That was the other thing that we're supposed to do. Yeah.
And that's where we are.
Lord help us.
So I don't know if I was thinking of this just because I've had part of this on my list for a while, but also it's fucking 76 degrees and I've kind of been expecting them to come back out every night.
Right.
But so I have all the information about fireflies you never really cared about and didn't want to know, but here it is. Hold on.
I'm here.
They're not flies. They're beetles. I think we all knew they weren't
Yeah.
flies.
I mean, once you've seen one, you're like, yeah, that's not a fly.
I have a picture of my child when they were like 4 or 5 with their arm just covered up with lightning bugs, like all the way up their arm, like 8, 9, 10 of them, just all. And they were so happy. They're just like wide grin all the way across their face. I was like, you're covered in beetles. There's like 2,200 species of fireflies in the world.
Oh, shit.
There's 165 in the U.S., and the biggest concentrations of this species happen in the U.S. Southeast. The one that you see all the time is the Big Dipper firefly, is the common eastern firefly, and it's called Photinus pyralis, I think, or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird because I was like, I normally take them for granted, but then I see sentences like this. The production of light by living organisms is called bioluminescence. And I'm like,
That's
the production of light by living organisms is just like so mind-blowing, really.
It's like a superpower.
It is. They make light with their butts. For I wish you could see what Patrice just did. Look like totally she was just flashing y'all with her tatas and like shining light forth
That's right.
at the world.
Bioluminescence.
But it is. It's like fucking amazing. They
It
make
is.
light with their butts. Most things that have bioluminescence live in the ocean. They're like the deep sea, like from Finding Nemo, the anglerfish that they're like,
Right.
I'm going to get you. That one.
Mm-hmm.
They're almost never in the freshwater. There's like fish, jellyfish. There are a lot of bioluminescent jellyfish.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not even going to try and say that word.
That's fine.
Planktonites.
Yes. So do you think like it's mostly salt water because of the depth? There's more like really deep things in salt water than they evolve to be
Mhm.
that way, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
supposedly. I mean, that's what they think.
Right.
So I guess it makes sense because most of them, like the anglerfish, like they are like deep sea
Mhm.
critters that shine like that. And I guess it's either to attract prey. I think most, like with the anglerfish, is to attract prey.
Right.
There are also ones on land, and there's bioluminescent fungi.
Yeah, there's supposed to be like mushrooms that you can like black light
Mhm.
and do up.
For real. And this is, I had never heard this before. Do you know the Appalachian History magazine or book series, The Foxfire?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Do you know what Foxfire is?
Is it the glow in the dark mushrooms?
It's the glow of fungi in rotting wood.
what?
It's like a continuous glow that they create in the woods when the certain type of fungi is in rotting wood and like dark mossy places. They call it Foxfire because you.
Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun.
that was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
So it's a super efficient chemical reaction, and I don't understand chemistry. I almost failed it. So,
Same.
but they have a chemical. Fireflies have like in their little butt lantern, they have this chemical called luciferin and an enzyme called luciferase, and both of them come from the Latin word Lucifer.
Oh.
Even though we never said that they were like Satan, but Lucifer didn't mean Satan either. It means like morning star, day star, light bearing.
Right.
But the light that they produce has like 100% of the energy that is produced by this chemical reaction is light. Whereas like if you have the super efficient light bulbs, like incandescent light. Well, no, incandescent isn't the super efficient one, is it?
I don't know.
I don't know the
no
different
idea.
types.
Yeah.
But like an incandescent light bulb is 10% light and 90% heat.
Oh, yeah.
And so fireflies and the other bioluminescent like living organisms, they create light with no heat. So it's like 100%. It's cold light.
It
It's
is
100% light.
magic. If we could harness the power of
I
cold
know.
light.
Mhm.
Superpowers.
So basically, they're like biological wonders, and but this luciferin that lives in their butts, it's toxic, of course, because one of the
course.
things, like when you're asking, like, why do things have these bright lights? Sometimes it's to attract prey. Sometimes it's to warn, like, bright colored bugs and bright colored birds, or to
Mhm,
warn other
frogs.
creatures that they're dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So it does make them taste bad, this luciferin stuff. And this was one source. And because my color printer went out of ink, I have no idea because it prints all my hyperlinks in blue. So I don't know what my source is for that because all my hyperlinks are gone.
We'll put them on the show notes.
We'll put them on the show notes.
Yeah.
But there was one source that said it could take as few as 20 fireflies to provide a fatal dose of luciferin to an adult human.
Holy
So if you wanted to run around
shit.
eating fireflies,
Don't do it.
Don't do that.
Don't do it.
I don't think
But wouldn't
Oliver
it
putting
be
it on his face would have been bad.
Cool.
If you could poison people with it?
No.
Okay.
That's not where I was going with that. But wouldn't it be cool if through some scientific hocus pocus that the firefly butt light cured cancer?
You said butt.
And so
It would be cool.
And if like it cured cancer and then they just like started to glow.
Oh my God.
And then, so
I seriously was reading like all the scientific articles and stuff on this thinking like, what's going to happen? Because of course, while I'm reading this, all these other things come up from National Geographic about these like mammals that glow under black lights. So they just discovered this new type of like spring hair, or it's like one of those little kangaroo rat kind of things that if you put a black light on it, it shines these psychedelic funky colors. It's like pink and green and neon, everything.
What?
If it's, and in normal times, it's just like white.
White.
I was like, how the fuck does this happen? Like,
Right?
what are we gonna?
Because,
what do people do?
Right. Well, white under a black light's just like really
It's
bright.
really bright, like like neon blue almost, right? Which,
Crazy,
So,
man.
I know. So, okay, so fireflies, bioluminescence, wonders. They live for about a year or two, which I didn't know. I was like, what?
Wow. Well, they're not a fly.
They're not a fly. But most of their time is in the larval stage. And when they're in the larval stage, they look creepy as shit. They kind of look like millipedes, but they're very small. And they have tapered armored plates on the back of them. They're kind of flat and tapered. They don't look anything like fireflies. They don't look anything like grubs or white larvae or anything. They look more like those little segmented millipedes. And they are carnivorous.
Oh.
So they run around the leaf litter in your backyard or wherever. They eat snails. They like attack snails and hunt them.
Wow.
And smaller critters like that. And during their larval phase, they're called glowworms because every species apparently of firefly glows during the larval stage.
Oh my God. They almost look like a roach.
Yeah, they're really weird.
Yeah.
And
that's creepy.
and some of them even glow as eggs. Wait, show me what you just saw.
fucking huge.
What made you gasp? Oh, that one is big. I don't know what that is. I mean, I know it's one, but I don't know what species that is. That's weird.
It's the giant firefly.
Oh, I don't want that in my life.
Yeah.
So when they're larvae, apparently they all glow in the dark. If you have them in your area and they're going through this part of their life cycle, then you may, if you move leaf litter at night, you might see the glow of like glowworms.
So they glow without the black light.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, they just glow in the dark.
Did you see this one eating an earthworm?
No, I saw one eating a snail. Aren't they creepy? They've got like pincher like claws and legs, and
Yeah. It's scary.
Yeah, they're really weird. That's what cute little fireflies are like when they're larvae, which sounds so innocuous. Like,
Right.
larvae, they're just laying there rolling around like little white sacks, and that's totally not what they are. They're like,
Oh, they eat slugs.
yeah,
too,
they eat
that are
sticky,
bigger
gooey stuff.
than
Yeah,
them.
yeah, it's
Whoa,
pretty gross.
That's stuff of nightmares.
So
Putting that back.
that's what's living in your yard, probably.
Mhm. Those are the sweet little fireflies
I know.
flying around.
And I don't remember ever. I mean, maybe I have. I think their glow is probably pretty minimal. Like is very small. And I mean, partly because they're small, but partly because that's not the part of their life where the glow is really useful. I don't know. So I don't remember ever having seen anything like that. But
Me
apparently
either.
they're everywhere.
Well, obviously, because we have like thousands of them in the yard.
Yeah,
So
for real. But the term glowworm it's not specific. It's not only fireflies, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But then, so they live for like 2 years as glowworms, as larvae, and then they grow up for like 3 to 4 weeks, and that's it. They're only adults that look like fireflies the way we think of fireflies for like 3 or 4 weeks in the summers.
Oh, wow.
Or late springs, and then
Do they die right after that?
they die right after that.
Huh. Do
And
they go
some of them don't even eat. Like some of them eat pollen when they're adults, and some of them still eat other bugs. But like a big chunk of them, they don't eat anything because their whole existence at 3 to 4 weeks, at that last 3 to 4 weeks of life, is just to mate, and then they die.
Wow.
So when we take them, and like when I collected them in jars and like little mesh houses and stuff, I was taking away the entire purpose of their existence. But So all they do is mate because that's what the flashy butt is for.
Right.
And like just like people. So there's
That's
like
what the flashy
that's
butt
what
is
the
for.
flashy butt is for. There's like 2 acts in the mating ritual. So there's the search and the scramble. And the flash patterns that fireflies make are the search section.
Okay.
So it's their mating display. So it's like, when you see videos of, turkeys or whatever flashing their feathers, that's the mating display. And fireflies do it by a very specific series of blips and bleeps in their flash pattern. So males will fly around and flash a very specific pattern, and females stay on the ground and just flash in response to the males. So each species of firefly, the 2,200 species, each one has its own certain pattern, and it helps the males and females recognize each other during the mating season because there's more than one species in an area.
Huh. Okay.
So, and the reason there's one called the Photorus, and it's called the femme fatale of fireflies because the female stays on the ground and imitates the mating lights of the other species around her, so that when the other species of male comes down, she just kills him and eats him.
Oh, wow.
And
That's like brutal.
that's brutal. I mean, that's the way insects are, I
And
guess.
it's like nature is brutal.
But it's also, and it's a nature thing because too, the type of the species that she eats, when she mimics a call, the species that she eats produces a steroid that makes this certain type of jumping spider hate to eat these fireflies. And her species, the femme fatale species, doesn't naturally produce this steroid. So when she eats the males of this other species, she ingests their steroid and it stays in her body. So she builds up this steroid that's a protection that another species has. And then she takes it's like she takes his superpowers.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And so the jumping spiders on the ground won't eat her because she's got this steroid in her system.
Oh my God. That is so fucking complicated.
I know it is. I was like fascinated. I geeked
Oh.
my ass out
Oh my
today.
God.
But so in this search phase, the females prefer these more intense flashes. So the bigger males have an advantage because they've got bigger butts. And they're like, and then she like kind of, the ladies see this like big flash going on and
So
she's like, hey.
Size does matter in fireflies.
Size matters in fireflies. So she like turns her butt in his direction. Like literally, I'm not making that up. Like she actually turns her butt in his direction and flashes a response. And then after that, though, it's like all these fireflies mob her because all these males are looking for someone to respond. So they come down to this one female that responds. And then it's the smallest one that has the advantage because he's fast. He'll get in there and he's like nimble and so in the scramble phase, it's the little ones that win.
Wow.
Here's the thing. So when I was older, I don't know. It was after I moved to Alabama. Somebody had told me this. That if you go into a dark field at night and there's no lights around you and you flash your headlights in your car, then you can get fireflies to simultaneously flash back at you.
Oh.
And I did it and it never worked. But I live out in the woods and I've sat and just watched fireflies like blink on and off just with nothing else to do, at night, just sitting there watching them. And every once in a while, it kind of looks like it's like if you wait long enough, I don't know if it's probability or
Do
what.
they sync up?
It looks like they sync up and then they'll go out of sync again.
Right.
And you kind of just think like, oh, that is just math. It's just probability. Like
Right.
eventually more than one is going to go off at the same time. But apparently it's not just your imagination because the Southeast is home to these really unique fireflies that are synchronized. And there aren't many species in the world that do this. Apparently, Southern Appalachia is technically a temperate rainforest. I'd never heard that said before until I started looking this up, but they provide the perfect habitat for like certain species of fireflies. The Southeast is special in all of these things because like California, other places in the country have fireflies, but California has 0 fireflies that flash as adults. Like I said, all the larvae, they glow. But in California, they have species of fireflies, but none of them flash as adults. It's very unique to the eastern U.S., and the concentration of species is really unique to the Southeast. And Firefly is a Tennessee state insect. Which
Oh.
I didn't know.
I didn't know that either.
Because why do we have state insects? It's just kind of
I don't
stupid.
know. What's the state insect of Alabama?
I don't know. The
Okay.
mosquito?
No. Yeah, I think
The
that's
boll weevil?
I think that's the regional.
Are you
state
looking it
insect.
up?
Oh,
I want
yeah.
to know. It might actually be the boll weevil, which would be messed up
Yeah, for
because
real.
they're like terrible.
They are terrible.
Mm-hmm. In Elkmont, Tennessee, and the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, every year, it's either in late May or early June, they announce the dates, usually somewhere near the beginning of each year. There's 8 to 10 days where you can buy a lottery ticket to go into Elkmont, Tennessee, Great Smoky Mountains Park during the synchronous firefly season.
Oh, wow.
You cannot just get in. You can't just make a plan and go. They announce the dates. They open the lottery. You put your name in, and if you're lucky, you can get a slot. And you have to go during the dates that they set. They have to set a specific time for you to go see these Photinus carolinus synchronized fireflies. You have to park outside of the park. They have special shuttles that they come get you and bring you to designated watching areas. You're not allowed to have your phone on. You're not allowed to have cameras. You're not allowed to
Right,
have
no light.
No light.
Mm-hmm.
They have to put like red cellophane over all the flashlights to get you where you're going because
wow.
it's less disruptive.
Mm-hmm.
More than 12,000 people went to see these over the course of their season in 2020 because it's apparently you go, and because they limit the light so much, all you can really see is these fireflies as they start to glow. And the synchronous fireflies, instead of just being this flicker, I mean, which would be impressive enough if you've ever been in
Right.
in a full field at night with standing water and you see all the fireflies, it's really cool anyway, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But these go off like a wave. So it's like there'll be a little flicker in the corner of a few, and then it's almost like a stadium wave rising and going all the way across the floor. And they'll just like, and some people call it like massive strings of Christmas lights just go off, and they all go at the same time.
Wow. What time of year does this happen?
They usually announce it in the late winter, and usually it happens in like late May.
Yeah. Okay.
And they look at the weather patterns and everything to try and guess when the mating season is going to be.
Right.
But it's like a huge tourist attraction. People come from international locations to come see
I guess
these synchronous
so.
fireflies.
You're gonna put that on our list of things to see.
I've thought about it. I've never done it because it seems like such a big to do. You know, it's and I wanted to go when my kids were smaller, but I knew that I couldn't.
Right.
You know, do this whole taking them in cars and shuttles and everything after 9:30 p.m. kind of deal.
Right.
They basically swarm in these woods. And so as people have studied this, they found the denser the group of fireflies, the more synchronous the flashing. But again, it is specific to this particular species. There's a theory that the synchrony amplifies a signal basically for the entire group. So evolutionarily, like they're more likely to succeed in mating if they can do this kind of synchronized blinking and maybe limit the mishaps of getting eaten by other species kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
But nobody really knows why there would be a strong enough evolutionary, like it doesn't seem to gain them that much. So
Right.
nobody can really understand why they do it like this.
It's pretty.
I know. And so there's a University of Colorado Boulder physicist. There are all these mathematicians and physicists that study this because there's a math of synchrony and they're trying to figure out like what the rules are.
Right.
And so there's this physicist named Raphael Sarfati of University of Colorado Boulder who went in with a team of researchers and created a 3D model based on stereoscopic video of the swarm at Great Smoky Mountains Park, and found that there isn't some internal clock that makes them all go off at the same time, that they're just copying each other.
Oh, it's kind of like somebody flashes their lights, like, oh, I'm gonna flash my
Yeah,
light
it's like
too.
all peer pressure.
Right.
They're like weak. They're weak-minded little bugs. And
Well, maybe
because
they just want to all join in the fun. They're
maybe
like,
they
"Oh, it's
are
a party.
Maybe they're very community-minded
Right?
bugs. Oh, that's much better. I like the way you look at things. So yeah, he basically took bugs in tents out of the swarm. And then when they were alone, they completely lost the beat of everybody outside and came out of sync. And then they started to add like a couple in at a time. And it wasn't until they got to like 15 to 20 fireflies in one location that their flashing stopped being erratic and they started syncing up
They'll be
again.
like, to the left,
To the left.
to the
Yeah.
right, to the right.
They just didn't have the right, DJ. But so yeah, they're like fucking posers. They just all like want to be like everybody else. But that's apparently how it works. But it's still pretty cool, apparently, to see. And that's not the only synchronized firefly we have. There's one called the Snappy Sync. That's the Photurus frontalis, is in Mississippi and East Tennessee. You can see synchronized fireflies at Rocky Fork State Park in East Tennessee. Oak Ridge Wildlife Management is near Knoxville. Congaree National Park in South Carolina, Watauga State Park in West Virginia. And then that Photus carolinus, the one at Great Smoky Mountains, is also at Grandfather Mountain in North Carolina. But they also have a firefly called the Blue Ghost.
Ooh.
And it's near Asheville, this area. It's Grandfather Mountain. And you know how most fireflies have like that greeny, yellowy light? Well, these are only blue or white light comes off of their lanterns.
Oh, wow.
And it doesn't flash. It will hold one light for up to a minute while it kind of traces the floor just above the leaf litter looking for females.
Wow.
And I was like, and people have said that when you see those in their mating season, they're just astounding.
Wow.
But I was like, no wonder people think they're ghosts everywhere.
And fairies and
oh my God. I know.
Right?
I was
It's
like,
science,
that would be something else.
Supernatural is science.
But females of that species are wingless and they always look like larvae. Like they never become, like they grow to adults, but they never metamorphose into the kind of beetle looking thing that we see.
Right.
That makes me just think that they're sort of creepers and pedos. The males are just like running around looking for like underdeveloped girls. But
there's such a harsh view.
I
of these
know.
fireflies.
I'm so mean. I'm really mean. And there was one more bioluminescence example that I wanted to talk about, even though it's not fireflies. And that's the dismalites. Because I've been to this place. There's a carnivorous species of fly larvae that look like just little threads. They're little tiny things. And they're called Orphelia fultoni, and they're called dismalites. They're also sort of a glowworm, but it's the only bioluminescent species of dipteran fly. I don't know what that means. In North America, but it's apparently scientifically they produce the bluest light of any studied bioluminescent insect in the world.
Oh, wow.
And you can find them in Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, in like sandstone caves or along stream beds where there's rocky outcroppings and stuff, because they are weird in that they also spin webs, not exactly like spiders, but they put out webs to catch prey, and the webs have paralytic chemicals in them.
Ooh.
So they're these little itty bitty larvae that use the tips of their bodies to, glow and attract prey into these like paralytic webs.
Oh, that is just that's amazing.
There's a place in Alabama called Dismal's Canyon that is a really beautiful hike, and it's a really beautiful place to go. But they do evening. It's 2 times a year when you can get like the peak light from these glowworms, and there are so many of them there that they do overnight hikes that you can take and go see all the glowworms at Dismal's Canyon.
Boots.
It's for real. It's really. It's also like I've been there in the daytime and nearly fallen on my ass multiple times. So I was like, God, I'm a little nervous about going there like without much light with me.
Right.
But I really would like to, because it looks super cool.
Yeah.
But fireflies, there's a society called the Xerxes Society Invertebrate Conservation Group that says that 1 in 3 North American fireflies is nearing extinction.
Oh, wow.
Because of habitat loss and pesticides and light pollution, which I was like, I wouldn't think it would have made that much difference, but like apparently
changes where they can't
live,
mate, and they can't mate in certain areas
because they can't see each other. Apparently they're really, really sensitive to it. And I also found something that said more than 80% of people in the US can't see the Milky Way from where they live. That's how much light pollution we have in like our society. So
have you ever seen the Milky Way from your home?
I don't know. I might have. They mean the whole galaxy? I was thinking the Big Dipper, but the Milky Way is the galaxy, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, it's the galaxy. It's
then
like,
maybe not.
Okay.
Have you?
I don't think so.
Now I'm gonna have to look this up
I'm gonna have to
more.
go look. I've never looked for it.
I thought we were part of the Milky Way. Are we not?
Girl, I don't know.
Science. But anyway, so that's part of the reason why the places like Elkmont and some like Grandfather Mountain are so specific about the rules of seeing these fireflies is because
They're endangered.
They're endangered, and you have to protect them. And some of them just shut down those trails at certain times of year, so you may not be able to see them. But if you do follow the rules, please follow the rules.
Right.
And if you want more fireflies in your yard, add humidity,
Leaves.
don't use pesticides.
Right.
Let your grass get long. I mean, my backyard is like a firefly, like wonderland, because it's a fucking shit show in every other sense of the word. You know, it's like there's all kinds of crap everywhere that never gets mowed and never gets raked. But we don't use pesticides.
Yeah, it's a lovely habitat.
So yeah, that's my story about the
Lovely.
fireflies and the crazy synchronous fireflies of the southeast.
That is so cool. I love that. Just to follow up on Alabama's
What is it?
state insect is the monarch butterfly.
What?
I know.
It is not. That's
It is.
bullshit.
Okay, I know, but hold on. And then the Mississippi, here we go, is the European honeybee.
Why?
I don't know. Let's find
It's
Georgia.
European.
I don't know. Also, Louisiana's the European honeybee. Apparently, the European honeybee is a lot of states' insects.
Wow. Even though we're killing them by droves, like by
Absolutely.
over pesticiding.
Over pesticide. Okay. Oh, and Georgia is also the European honeybee.
God. You know what? I feel like somebody passed out a template when they first decided that there were going to be state insects, and it included the European honeybee. And like those three,
Well, I think
like a bunch
everybody,
of states were just like, just leave it.
just like the glowworms, everybody is like, I'm going to do bee. And they're going to be like, what I'm going to do? It's like a wave of bee. European honeybees. Like,
That's a great idea. The Eastern honeybee.
Eastern honeybee. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
And we will talk to you later.
Bye.